Like, I've been watching this trailer for the past 5 minutes, and I maybe only have heard of about 2 of these artists.
Hi, my name is Desks, aka Lumi, and I'm the owner of Neoluminum. Last week has been one of the craziest weeks of my life. Getting cosigns from Chime and Tokyo Machine in the same day was absolutely not on my bingo card at all, but I'm extremely grateful for the support. It feels very validating to have tons of new people coming in praising the quality of the label. Which, yeah, these shoutouts have had an absolutely ridiculous impact on our following. With almost 300 new subscribers in the past 28 days and an uncountable amount of Discord joins, there's a lot of new people coming in, and that makes me very excited. To me, this feels like a perfect time to give a little introduction on our background as a label and what we're all about. Shoutouts to this comment for inspiring me to make this video, by the way, and thank you for stopping by. I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Lumi, and I'm a 20-year-old girl from Mexico. 3 years ago, I started this label called Neoluminum. This label pretty much started from absolutely nothing. Back in 2020, I started following my first EDM label in Disciple Recordings. Somewhere around the time the first Ravel PAP came out. I really loved what I heard from Disciple, so I started to look more into this dubstep stuff. Primarily, I found a couple of reaction and review channels that I found quite fun, like Landon Remixes, T-Rex Reviews, and most notably, Naughty Step. I was very drawn to Naughty Step due to his fun personality and eloquence in portraying his thoughts in his reviews, and one day I saw he created a Discord server, and at a time where I was seeking new communities to be active in, I was all in. After joining his Discord server, I started to learn a little more about the community, names I should watch out for, other cool labels, and primarily, I started making my first bass music friends. From this Discord server, I met people like Glob, Extrenner, NDXL, Yeager Nicole, and a couple others. At the time, they were just random people, but that would change very shortly. For the Naughty Step Discord's first year anniversary, a couple of the regulars decided to host a small online festival, featuring sets from people that were active in the Discord server. I asked if I could join, and I almost didn't get in because they were almost full, but I was given a shot and I made a set for it. This festival turned out to be very special, because as each set played and we were all listening to each other's music, we were like, damn, I actually really like what I'm hearing. You guys are actually really cool. With this excitement, I remembered my Disciple fandom and thought, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we made a compilation album together, kinda like Disciples Alliance series? And so the dominoes started falling towards the creation of Neoluminum. I made a planning server for this theoretical compilation, and it turned into a pretty tightly knit friend group. We organized another festival in the Naughty Step server for the holidays that year, and it only further solidified that feeling we had of wanting to work on a music project together. Immediately after that winter festival, we began production of what would eventually become Neoluminum Volume 1.
Here we go.
This compilation at its core was just a group of friends putting together random songs we were making into a collection. It was never meant to be anything too serious or crazy, but as we started to think about the logistics of this project, we thought it could be kind of fun to turn this into a little label of sorts for our group to release projects on. We started scheduling a couple more projects, not really thinking much about whether there was too much quality or not, but we were just kind of having fun, you know? Surprisingly, Volume 1 released to a pretty big uproar, even despite its admittedly shoddy quality. I personally attribute this first surge not to the quality of the project or its presentation, but to its personality and its charisma. You didn't really get many people doing these kinds of projects in the bass scene, so maybe people just clicked with the vibe. I also feel a little indebted to some ranking channels from back in the day like Paul McRhythm or Shy Ranks. I definitely feel like these channels contributed, even if a little bit, to the small boost that the label had when it just started. Things started ramping up a bit once we started taking in outsider submissions. The first artist to reach out from outside the label was Styx, owner of the Half Art project. They said that they really liked the vibe of the label and wanted to contribute, and at the time, I was kinda starstruck. I had only ever worked with my small group of friends before, so being reached out to by someone who seemed to have a pretty established presence, even if they were still very underground, was just absolutely magic to me. From there, people like SETI, Sphinxes, and S1 Drones started coming in, bringing their own signature styles into a community that was now very steadily growing. By the end of the first year of the label, we already had a pretty decently sized community. It wasn't anything too crazy, but it was looking to brew into a very dedicated audience that just wanted to hang out and have some fun with music. We weren't particularly respected by much of anyone yet, being cited as a label of mediocre quality run by immature furry children. But hey, for starting from the bottom, me having no previous label experience, being barely competent at music production, and knowing very little about the dubstep scene at large, I'd say we were doing pretty well for what it's worth.
Let's get down to the...
We continued releasing a couple projects here and there, but things started ramping up once we released our second mainline compilation, Neoluminum Volume 2. Compared to the first compilation, this one was significantly more mature. By this point, lots of new artists had come in, and with the addition of people like Cloudy, Acerneon, Genesis, and Renipla, we started to really turn some heads. By this point, we were being noticed by people like Convexity, Acosmo, and even Naughty Step himself. For the person that technically made a lot of this happen to praise the label's ambition, citing it as one of the most exciting projects in the underground, that was a lot. This is around when I feel like we started getting a lot more serious with the project, pushing a little more to be respected as a name in the scene.
Yeah, don't control me.
Late 2023 marked a major shift in the label's scope, in my opinion peaking at Cloudy's debut EP, Decay. This is still widely regarded as one of the best projects to come out of this community, so if you haven't checked it out yet, I definitely recommend you do. This was one of the first projects where people really started to go a little nuts over the label, and I tried my hardest to keep the momentum going as best as we could, bringing full-length debuts from people like Super C. Russell, X2H, and Easy Password, as well as embarking on my own journey to create a full-length album of my own, but more on that later. Our final release in 2023 is potentially one of the most monumental releases in our history, a community remix album that included names that just a year ago would have been a total dream. An official remix from Chime's Patreon group, the Wind Elementals, Mr. Cooltrex, Assure Spark, and of course, Ivo Koniat Sigurnith Jr.'s theme. Things were starting to ramp up fast. this point, we started to truly see the vision of what this label wanted to be. This was a community of artists that, while it didn't take itself too seriously, made a point to always be full of personality. We weren't quite looking to be the next Rushdown or Disciple or Halcyon or whatever. We definitely weren't trying to be a boundary-pushing label. We were just simply doing our thing, and if people enjoyed it, then everything was worth it. A core value of the label has always been just having it be a fun place for people in the underground bass community, bringing it home to a wide variety of genres through color bass, rhythm, electro house, mid-tempo, and even indie. And the primary point has always been to just be able to share our creations with the world. Reaching into the third year of the label, more people started to believe in our vision, and we started to receive submission from artists I'd been looking up to for years, even going back to when I was just starting to get into color bass. Our Neoluminum Aurora compilation saw us bringing in people like Haphazard, Ipsium, and Type R, followed by singles from Danny Demand and Quartz Zone. Things were starting to get quite ridiculous. It was very scary to get to a point where artists of such caliber started to believe in our vision so much that they trusted us with releasing their music. And despite how things were getting, I always felt in the back of my mind that there's still more to go. And I started to really believe in the importance of continuing this project even further.
Shapeshifter.
Neoluminum is a very community-based label, but it's not the only one. There's a ton of other underground community projects like Silkenwood, Novatone, the Half Heart Project, so many gatherings of cool people. An idea I always had in my mind is that maybe, if we all got together, we could create something bigger than any individual project could ever be. That idea of joining forces led to the creation of an initiative titled Crossover for Charity, an event where 8 underground labels got together to create a compilation in the span of 1 month. We raised a total of $859 for 8 different charities, and held a bunch of fun events as well. By the end of it, we had a 30-track compilation with a ton of crazy standouts, like the big Simulcats collab with Aloe, Not Marsix, Slyleaf, and Wad, a massive 16-minute mega collab led by Quartz Zone, and a literal 100-person mega collab. I still don't know how any of that happened.
Over here, Mr. Know-it-all, spew a bunch of nonsense, you don't know me though.
Going into late 2024, Neoluminum just kept growing stronger and stronger, both in our discography and in our community. We held another massive remix contest last year, which saw many underground artists scoring official remixes for some of the crazy standard artists we were releasing like Danny, Quartz Zone, and Ipsium. Probably the most meaningful release to me from this part of the label, though, came in the form of Yuffie's What Money Can't Buy. With this release, there was a very clear statement to make. Be your truest self. Never compromise your vision for anyone else. You don't have to change who you are to get places in this scene, and that small communities are very valuable, even if others don't believe in them, or think they're lesser than other bigger places. The rollout week for this single was very memorable, with tons of events in our Discord server to strengthen the community even further. The release accomplished everything it set out to do, proving that even a short song like it can rock the entire community, proving that you can be outwardly furry and queer and still outperform people who suppress those kinds of expressions. And with Yuffie's immediate next release after this being on Disciple Roundtable, it proved that you can be a bigger artist and still find value in releasing with a smaller community.
Your style is born.
Now it's 2025, and we've already come a ridiculously long way since the label started. We've done so much, hosted so many events, released with so many artists, and built an incredible community that shows up for everything we put out. And yet, we're still very much continuing to push forward. The period of March to May of 2025 was a very important period of the label to me, because it saw the release of a lot of huge, long-awaited compilations. We released a melodic EDM compilation with a bunch of new debuts from artists that hadn't released here before through genres like house and color bass, and such was the case with our more heavy-leaning project Quasar, featuring some of the more heavy rhythm cuts of the entire label. There was also a project I organized with my personal friend group Pillow Fort, which saw debuts from people like Vi 5000, Convexity, and Trailmix. Probably the most meaningful release in this section, though, was my full-length debut label album, a 16-track multi-genre journey titled Digital Dreamscape. In Rushdown terms, it's basically my equivalent of an Etherborn. It took me 3 years to complete, with tons of moments where I felt like I really wanted to give up on it due to the stress of working on it and also running the label, but seeing how far Neoluminum was coming and being inspired by the release of Chime's album in 2023, I was able to keep pushing and get this absolute behemoth of a project out. It's a storytelling album about this character that longs to find a place where they belong, spanning through genres like complextro, tear out, color bass, rhythm, mid-tempo, and so much more. This is another project that I heavily recommend checking out if you're just learning about the label, as I feel like it represents a lot of what we're doing around these parts. With the album finally finished, I've been able to really put my full focus on getting stuff for the label done, and I feel like this has been very evident in recent times, with the label's output only getting more and more consistent as it goes on. We had a very solid weekly upload schedule this past month, tons of fun new singles from cool people, and generally just stuff I'm really happy to be able to share with all of you. And this brings us to today. We've come very far since the beginning of the label, and I am extremely proud of the community we've been able to build up throughout the years. Volume 3 is a testament to this growth, and the response that we've seen to this release is unlike anything I could have ever dreamed of in my life. To be considered cool by someone as iconic as Tokyo Machine, to have AU5 comment something like this on some of your songs, and Chime...
Close enough. Welcome back, Rushdown. Shout out Neoluminum.
As mentioned before, Chime is someone that inspired me to truly believe in myself. Thanks to their work, I was able to push forward with my album and continue nourishing the label, something that eventually led us to where we are right now. To hear them say that we've pretty much become a continuation of Rushdown's vibe, something I attribute to one of the most charming and quality labels of all time, is just something that I honestly still cannot believe is true. Being figuratively passed on the rainbow torch that Rushdown had is unbelievable to me, and part of me feels a little scared and nervous due to all this new attention because I don't want to let people down. It's like this immense butterfly effect that just keeps growing exponentially. However, if the past few years have taught me anything, it's that we can't afford to give up, especially not now. There's still very much a long way to go, and personally, I intend to keep pushing this label as far as I possibly can, never compromising the vision of the label, which is to be a home for underground creativity regardless of genre, and especially regardless of how unconventional it may be.
Activate.
This video covered a lot of things, but there's still a lot more to the Neoluminum universe, so I definitely recommend digging at some of our back catalog. There's a lot of other stuff that I didn't get to cover here, like our many free sample packs, our regular community mix show, our semi-yearly Minecraft festivals, and so much more. If you want to be a part of this community, I heavily recommend you join our Discord server. I'm personally active there every day, so if you want to connect with us, feel free to hit us up at discord.gg/Neoluminum. Without much else to say, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you stick around.